My sister told her children they'd get my girl's room when we finally kick her own mother out. Her children repeated it to my daughter at the dinner table. My daughter asked me softly, "Are we being kicked out, Mom?" Everyone paused to read my face. I smiled and replied, "No, baby. Actually asked Grandma whose name is on this house." Mom's face changed first. Then, it was Thanksgiving, you know? Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, all the usual chaos. Then my nephew, just loud and casual, right over the clatter of forks. "Aunt Megan said I can have your room when we finally kick your mom out." He took a big gulp of milk, like he'd just stated the weather. His little sister giggled. And the whole table just died. The air went thick, like someone had unplugged the AC. Chairs scraped, a bracelet tapped a glass, and I swear I could hear the hum of the refrigerator trying to fill the silence. My sister, Megan, smirked into her plate, like she'd just won the lottery. And Rachel, my sweet 9-year-old, her cheeks went blotchy red. She looked down at her peas, then leaned close to me, her voice a tiny whisper only I could hear. "Are we getting kicked out, Mom?" My hands went straight for my napkin under the table, just pressing it flat, counting the seams, anything to keep from shaking. My throat felt like concrete. This was my dining room. My plates, my grocery list on my fridge with the cat litter. Their casserole dishes were on my counter, their jackets on my hooks. And that bedroom? It had Rachel's teal bookshelf, a paper chain she'd made from old language worksheets, and her name, in glitter letters, right on the door. I heard Megan's voice then, all sweet. "They know we're just joking," she told my mother, never even looking at me. Mom just gave this tiny, dismissive shrug. And my brother? He chuckled like it was the funniest thing, like I was being ridiculous. Everyone was just waiting, you know? Waiting to see my face. So I smiled at Rachel, a steady, calm smile, like it was any other Tuesday. "No, baby," I said, my voice steady as I could make it. Then I turned my head, looked straight at my mother, and didn't raise my voice a single decibel. "Actually, Grandma," I asked, "whose name is on this house?" Mom's face just crumbled. Her lips pulled in tight. Her eyes darted to my front door, then back to me. A beat passed, and you could practically hear the refrigerator hum. Rachel peeked up at me, and I just tucked a curl behind her ear, kept serving green beans like I wasn't holding my breath for dear life. Megan's kids lost interest, started bickering about fries, but the adults? Their eyes were glued to me, like I'd just put a live wire between the salt and butter. I guess I should have known right then that the whole house of cards was about to come tumbling down. See, I'm Becky. I'm 36, I live in Atlanta, and I make a living teaching foreign languages. It started with tutoring at my kitchen table, then grew into a YouTube channel and an Instagram page. My videos about how to roll your RS? They bring in a decent income. I sell PDF guides and a pronunciation course that honestly keeps the lights on. It's not fancy. I film in my spare bedroom with a ring light and a cheap mic, but it's ours. And I'm a single mom to Rachel, my amazing 9-year-old, who hoards library receipts like they're priceless autographs. 2 years ago, after my divorce, I moved into this bungalow. My grandparents left it to my mom, and her plan was for me to help fix it up, keep it in the family, you know. I was just grateful not to have to sign a lease. The roof leaked, the AC sounded like a dying smoker, and the kitchen sink rattled every time you used the garbage disposal. I poured every penny from my YouTube and tutoring into it. A new roof, HVAC, plumbing, thousands and thousands of dollars. I painted cabinets with Rachel's handprints on old t-shirts. Mom would say, "You have such a gift," and then immediately suggest we set up a family fund, checking account for house expenses, with both our names on it. For simplicity, she said. I set up a monthly autopay of $1,200 for the mortgage, taxes, and insurance. But here's the kicker, we drew it up properly. I bought the place from her for a nominal fee, recorded the deed, paid the transfer tax, filed the homestead exemption in my name. Mom was at the closing, joking with the title agent about keeping it in the family while I signed the papers. She kept a key though, and never stopped calling it my mama's house. My family, they've always treated me like the reliable one, the adult wallet. I covered Mom's power bill in August when the air was like soup, $186, set on autopay for a year. I gave Megan $2,500 for a minivan down payment so her boys wouldn't miss soccer. My brother? I paid his rent 3 months during the pandemic, $1,200 each month, with a pay me back when you can, which he conveniently heard as don't worry about it. I added everyone to my phone plan because it cost me less than their late fees. 5 lines, $219 a month, and a constant, "Can you bump up my data?" text on the 23rd. It didn't make me a saint. It made me tired. They tolerated my work because it funded what they needed. Mom would clap at my videos if a brand sent me a tea sampler, then roll her eyes and call them "your little lessons" behind my back. At Christmas, she told my aunt, loud enough for me to hear, "Becky's YouTube is actually paying real bills." Like she hadn't handed me her gas bill 2 days earlier. But the real, gut-wrenching pain came with Rachel. She's adopted, and my family. They never said anything you could stick a lawyer on, but it came out sideways in a million little cuts. Megan planned a cousin's day at the trampoline park and forgot to add Rachel to the group text. Then she posted pictures with the caption, "All my babies." Mom ordered matching monogram jackets for the grandkids 1 year and somehow forgot to ask me Rachel's size. At Thanksgiving, there were labeled place cards for 5 kids, and Rachel was just penciled in on a folded napkin, an afterthought. Once, Mom wanted a grandkid's photo for her mantle and asked Rachel to take it. "You're so good with cameras," she said, like it was a compliment, not an exclusion. I stood there, holding paper plates, saying nothing, because I was still figuring out how to make a produce aisle stretch to 3 meals a day. When I pushed back, even a little, they punished quietly. Last month, Megan asked me to put down the $400 deposit for her kitchen remodel. She swore she'd pay me back with her tax refund. I did it because I pictured us finally having holidays without balancing hot pans on folding chairs. But her refund went to car stuff, and then she asked me to cover the second payment, too, $6,500. I told her I needed to look at my numbers first. Things got frosty that week. Rachel came home from Grandma's with a dollar store puzzle while the boys got new game controllers from Grandma and me. Mom said, well, their dad pitched in and looked at me like I should take the hint. So, when my nephew said he'd be taking Rachel's room when they kicked me out, it wasn't just a rude kid. It was the whole pattern, the entire truth, blurted out loud. I paid for the roof they ate under, and still, none of this was truly mine. And Rachel? She wasn't theirs either. Not when it counted. We finished dinner. I loaded plates, trying to act like I wasn't shaking. I packed leftovers into my own containers and labeled them, just like I always did. Megan laughed with Mom in the doorway, already planning Christmas, already talking about her new kitchen. My brother dug through my freezer without asking, came up with ice cream like he'd struck gold. Rachel played with the cat in the hall, kept flicking her eyes at me, checking. I smiled at her again, that same calm tone I used when she asked if thunder could break windows. After everyone left, I stood in the empty dining room, staring at the dent in the table where I'd dropped a 2 weeks after we moved in. My chest ached. That question from my daughter just wouldn't unhook itself from my brain. Are we getting kicked out? I let the dishwasher run, took off my sweater, and hung it on a chair like it had a weight I could finally set down. Then I did what I should have done a year ago. I opened my laptop at the counter. The cat jumped up, sat there like a fluffy paperweight. I logged into my AMX and scrolled to authorized users. Megan, Mom. Those little plastic cards I'd handed them last summer for emergencies felt like I'd just cut my own seatbelt. I clicked remove. It asked, "Are you sure?" Yes. The cards deactivated with a soft, ordinary click. No fireworks, no confetti, just a remove tag. Then I went to my bank. The family fund checking account sat there with a little over $6,000 in it. I'd overestimated the spring property tax. I'd added Megan as view only last year when she said she wanted to help me reconcile it. Funny timing. I clicked change account ownership. It gave me a form. I signed. Then I set the monthly $1,200 transfer to cancel future payments. A green checkmark popped up. I took a screenshot and put it in a folder called Boundaries. It felt petty. It felt necessary. I updated my mortgage portal to pay taxes and insurance from my escrow, not that shared account. I opened the county site and double-checked the deed. My name. My incorporated homestead exemption, filed 18 months ago. I printed a fresh copy, slid it into a sheet protector like a child with a certificate, and put it on the fridge under Rachel's magnet that says, "You did great from the dentist." Next was the contractor. I found the email thread about Megan's kitchen. Subject line, deposit received. I scrolled past the inspo photos and the line where I'd given them my card for the second draw, scheduled May 1st. My hands hovered. I typed, "Hi, this is Becky. Please remove my card from the Williams job. I am not authorizing the second payment. They can contact me if needed. Best, Becky." I hit send. A red receipt popped up. 2 minutes later, a reply, "Understood. Card removed." I exhaled like I'd been underwater. I logged into my phone carrier. 5 lines. Mine and Rachel's. Mom's, Megan's, my brother's. Every month, like clockwork, I paid it the minute my AdSense cleared. I scrolled to manage lines. I typed a calm note I could paste later, because I knew the blowback would be loud. Final date to port numbers May 15th. After that, lines suspended. I copied the confirmation email into boundaries too. Then I booked a locksmith for 9 a.m. Change all exterior locks. Add a deadbolt to the back door that sticks. The guy on the phone said, "You want a code pad?" I said yes, and gave him a 4-digit number that was decidedly not my mother's birthday. I texted 2 people. First, my mother. "Effective today, I am removing you from my credit card and from the house account. This is my home and not shared property. Please plan to pick up any boxes you've stored in the garage by June 1st. I will not be answering late-night calls. We can schedule a time to talk next week." Then Megan. "I am not paying the second installment on your kitchen. Contractor has removed my card. The family phone plan will end May 15th. Please port your number by then. Please don't involve the kids." I put my phone face down. It buzzed, then buzzed again, then kept buzzing. I washed the counters with hot water, breathing with it. In, out. I went to tuck Rachel in. She'd stacked her stuffed animals like they were protecting each other. "Are we in trouble?" she whispered. "No," I pulled the blanket to her chin. "We're in our house and we're okay." "Even if they're mad?" she asked. "Even if they're mad." I kissed her hair. It smelled like chlorine from swim practice and strawberry shampoo. The last thing she said before she fell asleep was, "Can we paint my room the blue from your video where you said Azul?" "Yeah, baby, we can." Downstairs, my phone lit up with my mother's name over and over. I muted it. I opened my editing software and trimmed a pronunciation clip because even moms with earthquake hearts still have Tuesday posts to schedule. The ring light reflected in the window like a tiny full moon. The cat purred at my ankle and didn't care about any of it, which helped more than it should have. By morning, my text previews looked like somebody had shaken a hornet's nest into my inbox. 29 missed calls, a wall of "call me now" from Mom, a thread of "wow dramatic much" from Megan. A Facebook screenshot from my cousin of a post that said, "Some people forget who helped them when they were filming cute little videos." There was a voicemail from my brother that started nice and ended with him saying he was disappointed, like he was my principal. The locksmith showed up at 9 on the dot, in a truck with a cartoon key on the side. He whistled while he worked. I made him coffee in a chipped mug, and when he left, the back door latched like it was supposed to for the first time since we moved in. I texted Aunt Dee the new code because she's the one who waters my plants when we leave. She wrote back, "Proud of you, baby. Saw Rachel's face last night. Not okay." At 1 p.m., Mom banged on the front door. Her old key didn't work. The doorbell cam notified my phone. Person at the door. I glanced, saw her standing there with her purse like we were going to brunch, and let it go to voicemail. She knocked again, then harder. I cracked the window. "We can schedule a time to talk." "Not today." "You're making me look like a fool," she said, her voice sharp, like the neighbors were listening. "We were joking. You can't cut off your family because of a joke." I kept my tone level. "I'm not your backup bank, Mom. I'm Rachel's mom. This is our home, not shared property. Please plan to pick up your boxes by June 1st. Her mouth flattened. "Megan's boys don't understand why their aunt hates them." I don't hate anyone, I said. Please don't involve the kids. I closed the window. It felt childish and also like the most adult thing I'd done all year. Megan called 11 times, then texted a paragraph about how the contractor had put her on hold. And how do you expect family dinners at your place if my kitchen is torn up? I typed back, I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of. Please stop asking. She wrote, don't make this about Rachel. I put a heart on it because I was done explaining. By noon, I'd gotten 3 DMs from people I barely talked to in high school asking if I was okay, and one quiet message from my cousin Jalen, if you need me to come over when they show up again, say the word. I wrote back, we're okay. Thank you. He sent a thumbs up and a photo of his dog in sunglasses, which made Rachel laugh so hard milk came out her nose at lunch. I posted a video that afternoon, a 15-second tip about the difference between poor and poor. While it uploaded, my phone lit with a string of, wow, and you're cold, and we never asked, and after all we've done for you from my brother. I didn't engage. I folded towels. I set 2 aside that were threadbare and made a note to replace them when I could. Practical things felt like sandbags around my house. Mom left a note in my mailbox. She wrote, we love you. You don't get to cut us out. This is cruel. I put it in the boundaries folder too. Then went to the backyard with Rachel. We sat on the steps with popsicles and watched the cat chase a moth. It was 10 degrees cooler after the sun went behind the trees. The phone vibrated on the railing. I let it. The only person I opened the door for that week was Aunt Dee. She brought a lasagna and a paper bag with a new shower curtain because she said my old one looked tired. She hugged Rachel like she was the only kid in the world. She looked at me and said, they'll call you mean because you told them no. Her eyes were wet. Keep telling them no. I did. When the family phone plan date hit, I sent one last reminder, lines will end at 5 p.m. today. They sent back strings of skull emojis and this is abuse. At 5 o'clock, I clicked suspend. The bill went down by $140 and the house got quieter in some way that had nothing to do with ringers. The thing about calm boundaries is they're boring in the middle. You make rice. You edit your videos. You explain to your kid that grown-ups sometimes act like kids, and it's not their job to fix it. You check the front camera when a car slows and decide not to move. I slept better the night I saw my mother try the code, sigh, and walk back to her car. Not great, but better. We started a new ritual on Sundays. Rachel called it spaghetti night like it was a show on TV. I browned garlic in my dented Dutch oven and let the sauce burble while she set the table with the mismatched plates I loved. I put 2 extra chairs at the end, every time empty. Not as a stunt, just as a reminder we had space if anybody showed up kind. Aunt Dee and Jalen came the first week without asking if it was okay. They brought a bagged salad and a carton of supermarket cannoli. Jalen's girlfriend taught Rachel how to twist noodles onto her fork against a spoon like a little pro. After dinner, Rachel gave them a tour of her room. The teal bookshelf, the paper chain, the new paint swatch taped to the wall. She'd picked the color from one of my videos, azul, like the ocean. We painted it the next weekend, just the one wall, and laughed when the cat batted the paint roller like it was prey. We wiped up the splatters. It looked good, like a place you plan to be. I put the homestead exemption paper back in the file, but kept the deed copy in the drawer by the stove, where I keep takeout menus and rubber bands. Not to wave around. Just to touch with my thumb sometimes when I was waiting for water to boil. Proof. Not for them. For me. Megan didn't text for a while. Mom sent the occasional test balloon, a forwarded joke, a how's Rachel, with no apology wrapped around it. I answered only the questions about my daughter. Short, civil. If they asked for money, I said, I'm not your bank. And left it there. If they said, we miss family dinners, I said, so do we. Family means Rachel, too. On the 3rd spaghetti night, Rachel drew a picture and taped it on the fridge with a cat magnet. It was a little house with 2 smiling stick people and a lopsided lemon tree next to the porch. Mom, Rachel's house. She'd written in careful letters, spacing the words like she did on her spelling tests. We planted an actual lemon tree in the side yard the next day, a skinny thing from the nursery with a tag that said Meyer. We dug with a borrowed shovel. The dirt smelled like rain. Rachel pressed the soil with her hands and said, "Will it stay?" "Yeah," I said. "It will." I didn't feel triumphant. I felt like somebody who had finally heard her kid ask if they were safe and answered with something real. The phone still lit up sometimes with old patterns and new words. I still made rice and edited videos and paid the mortgage on the first. The house didn't creak any less, but it creaked like it was settling around us, not warning us. When Rachel fell asleep that night, she didn't ask me to check the door twice. I checked anyway, just once, and set the deadbolt with a quiet click. Until then, I kept it simple. No yelling, no speeches, just, I won't fund a family my kid isn't part of. And a blue wall that dried the exact shade Rachel wanted, and a lemon tree that, in time, would give us fruit right there in our yard. You know, some people say family is just a password some people use to skip the checkout line. I didn't cut off my family. I just stopped subsidizing people who scheduled my daughter out of cousin photos, but into my mortgage payments. There's a special kind of audacity in eating someone's meatloaf, sleeping under their roof, maxing their card, then acting wounded when the card stops working. Boundaries aren't cruelty. They're just receipts finally handed back. What do you think? Have you ever had to draw a line in the sand with family? Tell me what you would have done in my place. I really want to know.